How you doing, truckers? In this video, I'm going to give us a list of mistakes that we need to avoid as a truck driver. And in worst cases, if we skip things like this in our everyday task as a truck driver, it can cost us our license, it can cost others to be hurt, and in worst case scenarios, even fatalities. So it's very important that we do not neglect our task out here as a truck driver. So the first one that I want to share is this. So just follow along with me in this first mistake that we need to avoid as truck drivers. So in our pre-trip, we never want to skip a pre-trip. And the first thing that we always want to make sure of, one of the first things, is that our fifth wheel is locked. As you can see, let me zoom in a little bit here. Take a real close look. That fifth wheel is locked. I know sometimes we get lazy. We don't crawl under here and check this fifth wheel, but it's important that we check this fifth wheel to make sure it's locked. They sometimes have a malfunction, so don't take that for granted. They can fail and they can not lock at times correctly. So one of the first things that we want to avoid is not skipping our pre-trip. Of course, along with tires, if you get inspected by a DOT officer, they're going to be looking at your tires and things like this for cracks, for material showing, and things like this, the ply, the tread, and all that good stuff when it comes to tires. I remember one time I had one light out on my tail lights on the bobtail side of things, and the DOT let me go for it. He just gave me a warning, or they gave me a warning and said, just get it fixed. So it's little things like that that can add up. According to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, or the FMCSA, there's a system that they use, and you might be aware of it as a truck driver, called CS points, and that stands for Compliance, Safety, Accountability. And the more dings you get because you're failing a DOT inspection due to bad tires, not enough tread depth, bad lights, maybe not even no windshield washer, something as simple as that, these points can accumulate over time, and it goes against the entire trucking company as a whole. And the higher the CSA points, the more that company and you as a truck driver working for that company is prone to getting inspected. So one of the first things to avoid as a truck driver out here as a mistake is to skip your pre-trip, to get lazy in the pre-trip, and just take shortcuts like little things like this, because you never know when you're going to get an inspection, and all these things can start to add up. Another mistake to avoid as a truck driver is not keeping your logs in correct order. And this is important because when that DOT officer once again can pull you over, or they pull you over, they're going to ask for your logs. They're going to go through them. So one thing that I've noticed during an inspection with the DOT officer is they're looking for little things like yard move. If you're not in a yard area, a fenced-in area, and some truck stops don't count for this when you're fueling, they can ding you for that and say, well, you weren't in a enclosed area or fenced area, and so you were in yard move, so that's not valid, and they can get you for that. Another thing is when you're fueling and you do not select that you are on duty fueling, that can also be a safety violation. And I even heard this from a safety officer as well, that when you're fueling, make sure that you go on duty fueling, because they do look at those little things. Another safety officer told me one time that just annotate and record everything that you're doing throughout your day. You're fueling, you're on duty loading or unloading, you're off duty loading or unloading, and things like this. You know, the more that you can be specific in your task throughout the day, the better. So if a DOT officer sees that you are off duty 2-3 hours or something, and you were at a truck stop, you know, they know that you have to do personal hygiene and things like this. But if they see you in a sleeper for such a long time, and they can question, why were you in this status so long and so forth. It's better to just be more prepared than underprepared when it comes to your logs. So take care of your logs. This is another mistake to avoid, to not take this for granted, because DOT officers are real attention to detail and they look for things like this. Another thing to avoid as a truck driver, and a mistake that we can make sometimes, is bypassing or skipping a weigh station when we have not been given the bypass. We may be in a hurry, we may be just cruising down the road, and we do see that the weigh station's open, but we decide to bypass it. And going back to the CSA points, what we want to make sure is that we are just doing everything that we can to the best of our ability to not get dinged or accumulate more CSA points, because when you're going down a weigh station and the DOT personnel know that you have a high CSA point score overall as a company, they're going to pull you in more often in those weigh stations. And we don't want to be pulled in all the time every time we're going through a weigh station. We want to just get down the road. We want to feel good that we didn't have to go through the weigh station. So just keep in mind, overall, as a company, we are trying to avoid dings on our logs, and also bypassing weigh stations is a big ticket. I got a ticket one time, $150 they popped me with in Oklahoma for not recognizing that there was a weigh station there that I didn't see. That was my fault. Well, we definitely got some wind picking up here. I'm out here at the Love's in Alma, Texas. It looks like some things are coming in. I know that me personally, I don't like to weigh all the time. If I know that I'm under 30,000, I feel pretty good, pretty safe, that and confident that I'm not overweight, so I can just keep trucking down the road. But I have experienced one time, and I took that for granted, that the loaders loaded the load wrong and the pallets were not where they were supposed to be, and I was overweight on one axle. And so when I went into a port of entry, I got pulled in, and they told me I needed to get the load reworked, and that cost me hours of time, and that was not good, because it costs you money, time, and mileage. So if you're over 30,000, for sure weigh the load, because you just don't know if you're going to get pulled in a weigh station, and you just don't know if the shipper loaded you correctly and that you are under the proper weight limit. So far, the things that we want to avoid as a truck driver is don't skip a pre-trip. Let's not get complacent or lazy that things are okay, because when we start getting in that mindset, one little thing can go wrong and cost us time and money out here in the trucking industry. The second thing is that we want to make sure that our logs are up to date, and to make sure everything is in correct order, so that we won't be dinged or cited for a violation when a DOT officer is inspecting us. And three, we want to make sure that we are paying attention to those weigh stations. If you're getting pulled more often, that could be an indicator that overall as a company, the CSA points are high, and so keep that in mind. If you gain some value from these mistakes that every truck driver needs to avoid, hit the like button. It does help this channel to send this message out to other truck drivers. If you like trucking content like this, subscribe to the channel. And also, truckers, if you want to support this trucking channel, I started a t-shirt business store, survivornurse.store. It's very new. I'm still trying to, get things solid and running the way they need to be. But if you want to just show your appreciation and purchase a t-shirt, visit survivornurse.store. Go check it out. I'm adding designs every week. We have an in-house designer, and hopefully you'll like one as well.